Bonjour, I am Sister Sheena from St. Teresa's Higher Secondary School, Ernakulam, and I am here to walk you through the lesson 2 of your +1 French textbook. I'm sure you have gone through the first lesson and you are capable to understand and speak this language. Okay, so we begin the second lesson with another verb in this lesson, avoir, and expressions with avoir. So the verb avoir meaning is to have. In the first lesson you have already learned auxiliary verb, that is être, to be, and this is another auxiliary verb, avoir, meaning to have. Okay, so the conjugation is like this. The first one is j'ai, J apostrophe AI. So when you say j'ai une table, it means I have a table. Tu as un cahier, you have a notebook. Il a un crayon, elle a une chaise, she has a chair. Nous avons un professeur, we have a teacher. Vous avez un voisin, you have a neighbor. Ils ont des stylos, they have some pens. Elles ont des règles, they have some rulers. We also have expressions with the verb avoir. Okay, so the verb avoir means to have, but when you have it as an expression, the meaning changes. So avoir and chaud together, it means to feel hot. So when you say j'ai chaud, it means I feel hot. Avoir froid means to feel cold. So when you say tu as froid, it means you are feeling cold. Avoir faim, to feel hungry. So you go for il a faim, he feels hungry. Avoir soif, to feel thirsty. Elle a soif. Avoir peur, to be afraid. Nous avons peur, we are frightened. Avoir raison, to be right. Vous avez raison, so you could say you are right. Avoir tort, to be wrong. Ils ont tort. Avoir sommeil, to feel sleepy. So in case you feel sleepy, you say elles ont sommeil, j'ai sommeil. We move on to another IR group verb, and that is venir, meaning to come. Okay, so we learned in your first lesson, you learned the verb être that ends in re. Then you learned a verb that ends in er, you learned parler. And then in this lesson we are learning that is IR. So we came across avoir, which does not follow the rule. We have another verb venir, which is also irregular. Okay, so this is how venir is conjugated. So you have je viens. So you want to add a preposition and a place, it becomes je viens de Paris. Okay, I come from Paris. Tu viens, it's the same conjugation, spelling is the same. Il or elle viennent. So if you look at the conjugation, you understand the first and the second, the ending is S, the third one goes as T. Okay, that's easy to memorize. Nous venons de Mumbai. Vous venez de Kerala. Ils viennent de Bangalore. Elles viennent de Madurai. We have a few verbs which follow the similar pattern. Okay, so if you notice, you find devenir, obtenir. It's just a little bit of spelling difference. Okay, so in devenir you already have the verb venir. So all we are doing is we are just adding a de in front. And when it comes to obtenir, it's like instead of the verb venir, it is tenir here. So instead of v, you get t, and then in front of that you get o and b. So it goes je deviens, tu deviens, il devient, elle devient, nous devenons, vous devenez, ils deviennent, elles deviennent. So same way, j'obtiens, tu obtiens, il obtient, elle obtient, nous obtenons, vous obtenez, ils obtiennent, elles obtiennent. So devenir means to become. Okay, venir is to come, whereas devenir is to become. Obtenir is to obtain. So I hope you are able to follow the endings. So it goes like this, like V-I-E-N-S. So if you follow everywhere, for je and tu, the ending goes as S. And in irregular verbs, for il and elle, it's always T. We just change the S into T. And nous and vous, you have already learned in the first lesson the nu ending would be ONS, wu ending is EZ. It's the same over here. And the last one you have to learn again. It is DEV, IENNENT and OBT, IENNENT. So when you learn an irregular verb, just remember you have to learn the 3 spellings. For je, tu, it would be the same. Il and el, another spelling. Nu and wu, another spelling. And il and el, you have to learn another one. So if you learn like that, it is going to be super easy. Let's focus on some more verbs which follow the conjugation of the verb venir. Okay, so you have another verb revenir, to come back or to return. So here we are just adding re in front of the verb revenir. Then you have tenir, I already mentioned to you. So instead of we, you get the word T, the letter T. So tenir is to hold. Then you have maintenir, to maintain. Se souvenir, to remember. Convenir, to be suitable. So it's all conjugated like venir. We are just adding the other letters you have in this verb. We just add it to the verb venir and you get the conjugation. In this lesson, we have also introduced a few more irregular verbs, okay? And I understand it could be a little heavy for you, like learning too many irregular verbs in the second lesson, but this is only to enable you to speak a little more in French, okay? These are verbs which you really need to speak in your daily life. So then you have the verb devoir, okay? So these are verbs which has a similarity, like it's ending almost like OIR, okay? So it goes, devoir is ought to or must, like I have to do something, I must do something. We make use of this verb, okay? So the conjugation goes, je dois, D-O-I-S. Then if you just observe the conjugations, it goes, tu, D-O-I-S, il or el, D-O-I-T. Remember I mentioned to you, first and second, if it is S, the third one goes in, you just change the letter S into T. So il and el, it is doit, nu, devenant. Again, I mentioned to you, for nu it is ONS, wu it is EZ, and for il or el, it becomes DOIVENT. Okay, so I repeat the pronunciation for you again. Devoir, meaning ought to or must. Je dois, tu dois, il doit, elle doit, nous devons, vous devez, ils doivent, elles doivent. So you want to say, I must study French. It goes like this. Je dois étudier le français. You have already learned the verb to study in the first lesson. So, je dois étudier le français gives you the meaning, I must study French. Okay, that's why we are here. Then you have the next verb, recevoir. Okay, so recevoir goes like this. R-E-C and the letter C has an accent there. Okay, just below that you have the accent called cédille, just to give a little difference in its pronunciation. So it goes, je reçois, tu reçois, il or elle reçoit. Almost same pronunciation for je, tu, il, elle. Nous recevons, vous recevez. So if you notice, you understand there's no accent for that C there. Okay, so for nous and vous, there is no accent. Il, elle, again, it's reçoivent. So somewhere similarity like the verb devoir. Almost similar, we have apercevoir. Okay, apercevoir, the only change is that it is not R-E-C, but it is A-P-E-R-C-E-V-O-I-R. So we are just deleting the E from the reservoir and adding A-P-E to that. Okay, so j'aperçois, tu aperçois, il aperçoit, elle aperçoit. Nous apercevons, vous apercevez, ils aperçoivent, elles aperçoivent. Having learned the irregular verbs conjugation, I think we would move on to the exercises and try to understand how we can do the exercise. Okay, so the first exercise is compléter les phrases avec avoir au présent. So you have to complete the sentences with the verb avoir in the present tense. So we begin with the exercise. The first one, tu, you have a blank space, raison. Okay, so avoir raison you have already learned. Avoir raison is to be right. And you know the conjugation of avoir, so it is tu as raison, A-S. Il, blank space, and then you have tort. So avoir tort is to be wrong. You have made a mistake. So ils ont tort is they are wrong. On, then you have a blank space, and soif. Avoir soif, we have already learned to feel thirsty. Okay. Now on is a subject which I don't think you have learned in the first lesson. It's a neutral subject, and on takes a conjugation corresponding to il or el. So if you know the conjugation of il or el in the singular form, it's the same. Okay, and it gives a plural meaning. So on a soif means we are feeling thirsty. Then you have nous and chaud. So you know the conjugation of avoir is nous avons. So nous avons chaud. And the next one, je, it becomes j'ai raison. Elle and femme, so elle a femme. Then the next one, they have not given us a subject as such. So you could go for je, which is easier. You could go for il, you could go for elle. Any subjects is possible. Okay, so I just go for je and it becomes j'ai un ami. I have a friend. Then you have il, so it is il a des amis. He has some friends. Vous avez un copain. Copain means again another meaning for friend. Elles ont des copines. So copain is the masculine form of friend and copine is the feminine form. They have some friends. We have another exercise based on the first lesson and the second lesson. Okay, so you have learned the verb être, to be, in the first lesson, and just now I have taught you the conjugation of the verb avoir. So here you have two sentences. Okay, you need to understand the context and make use of which verb you have to write, whether it is être or whether it is avoir. Okay, so we have constructed the sentence in such a way that the first part is être and the second part is avoir. So it's easy for you. So the first one goes, tu intelligent, you intelligent. You cannot say you have intelligence. So it is tu es intelligent. Okay. Tu l'air content. L'air content. Avoir l'air content means to feel happy. So tu as l'air content. I hope you're getting it. So the first part is être and the second part conjugation of the verb avoir. Next sentence you have ils étudiant. So it goes ils sont étudiants. They are students. Ils faim. Ils ont faim. They are hungry. Elle aimable. So elle est aimable. Elle un ami français. So she has a French friend, a friend who is from France. Elle a un ami français. Next one goes je. So je suis fatigué, I'm tired. J'ai soif, I feel thirsty. Nous dans la classe. So nous sommes dans la classe. We are in the class. And nous avons des cours, and we have some classes. We move on to another exercise where you have all the verbs that you have learned, first lesson as well as the second lesson. Okay, this is important. It could come for the exam. Mettez les verbes au présent. Okay, so you're conjugating the verbs in the present tense. Like in your question paper, you would find you have to conjugate verbs in the present tense, then it would be in the past tense, future tense. Okay, so the first one goes je, and then you have the verb aller. They are going to just give you the verb within bracket and another part of it, à Londres. So you know the conjugation of aller, you have learned it in the first lesson, and it goes je vais à Londres, I'm going to London. Next verb is venir, so ils viennent de Madras. Next we have être, so nous sommes en France, we are in France. Then you have the verb s'appeler. S'appeler, you know, it's a reflexive verb. It has a pronoun, so the S changes into T apostrophe. It's a verb that ends in ER, so you have already learned conjugation of verbs that end in ER. For je, it is E. For tu, it is ES. Il or elle, it goes E. Nous, the corresponding conjugation ending would be ONS. Vous is EEZ. And il or elle, it's ONT. So here you get tu, T apostrophe A P P E L L A S. I'm sure you learned it in the first lesson that it has some irregularities. The verb ends in ELER and the L is doubled. Okay, so tu t'appelles Evelyn. You call yourself Evelyn, or your name is Evelyn. And the last one over there, vous avez de la patience. You have patience. So now we move on to another topic, les adjectifs interrogatifs. Okay, so you're going to learn adjectives which are interrogative, so you can ask questions. You have already come across that in the first lesson. Okay, so this is a little extension of it. So we have 4 different forms of this interrogative adjective. Okay, you have a masculine singular form, Q-U-E-L. You have a feminine singular form, which is Q-U-E-L-L-E. Then you have a masculine plural form, Q-U-E-L-S. That's easy, just add the letter S. And the feminine plural, again, we are just going to add an S at the end. So Q-U-E-L-L-E-S. Pronunciation of all the 4 words is quel. Okay, it goes just quel. So, quel film regardes-tu? Which film are you watching? So now you are able to ask questions to somebody. Quelle musique écoutes-tu? Which music are you listening to? So you should know whether the noun is masculine or feminine. Accordingly, we keep adding the interrogative adjective. So then you have masculine plural form becomes quel roman aimez-vous? Which novels do you like? Quelle ville? So which towns or which cities are you visiting? We also have another question introduced there, the word âge. Okay, âge ends in E, but it is masculine. So you get quel âge as-tu means what age do you have, and better English is how old are you. So the French people, we don't have to translate the word how and old are you. No, that's not how French people ask this particular question. This is how they ask, what age do you have? Okay, so quel âge as-tu? So I understand all of you would be 16. So we have just gone for that number. J'ai 16 ans. I am 16 years old. Let's go for an exercise which has this interrogative adjective. Okay, that's exercise number 4 in your lesson. Mettez les adjectifs interrogatifs convenables. Convenable means suitable. Okay, any 4 words could come. So it depends on, after the blank space you have a word, you should know whether it is masculine or feminine. So the first word, avec quel livre étudiez-vous? Now the word livre is an exception, it ends in E, but it is masculine. So with which book are you studying or do you study? Okay, then you have profession il aime. This is another word, does not end in E, but it is feminine. Okay, so you go quelle profession il aime. Which profession does he like? Okay, then you have quel roman tu as? Which novels do you have? Quelles images sont sur le mur? Which pictures are on the wall? I don't know whether you have learned this word in the first lesson. Mur means the wall. Okay, and image is pictures. Last one you have monument tu visites. Okay, that is again a masculine singular word. So quel monument tu visites. Let's go for another expression in this lesson. Okay, you have learned the verb avoir, il and a means he has, but here we have the letter y in between and it becomes an expression meaning there is or there are. Okay, it could have the singular meaning as well as the plural meaning. So you want to say il y a un stylo dans la boîte. Boîte is box and D-A-N-S is a preposition we are going to introduce in this lesson meaning in. So there is a pen inside the box. Now you want to make it plural. So in this lesson they have exercises where they ask you to change the sentences from singular into the plural form. Il y a, as you learned, singular and plural form is the same. Okay, so we don't make any changes. Whereas UN, you have learned in the first lesson, plural form is DES, and stylo, again, to make the noun into plural form we just add the S at the end. Dans la boîte is the same. Il y a des stylos dans la boîte. We could even go for les boîtes is correct. Combien de jours y a-t-il dans une semaine? Now, combien de is an expression meaning how much or how many. Okay, jour means day. So how many days are there in a week? Now that il y a, when you make it into a question, we could just do a kind of inversion. We change the format. Okay, so you have the letter Y there, and then you have the verb and the conjugation are. You invert it, like you write R first, then you go for il. Since there are 2 vowels, we put a T in between. We will learn in detail of inversion in the 3rd lesson. Okay, so I'm just making you understand. Here, combien de jours y a-t-il means how many days are there in a week. And we know there are 7 days, so you say il y a 7 jours dans une semaine. There are 7 days in a week. Let's go for the days of the week. Quels sont les jours de la semaine? Les jours de la semaine sont, okay, the days of the week are lundi, which is Monday, mardi, Tuesday, mercredi, Wednesday, jeudi, Thursday, vendredi, Friday, samedi is Saturday, dimanche is Sunday. let's focus on some questions based on this. So if you ask a question like, I'm sure you learned it in the first lesson, the construction of say, C apostrophe EST means it is. So you want to ask, which day is it today? Say, quel jour aujourd'hui? Aujourd'hui means today. So you go for an answer. Aujourd'hui, c'est mardi. If it's Tuesday, you say, c'est mardi. If it's Monday, you say, c'est lundi. Combien de mois y a-t-il dans une année? Now the word mois means months. Okay, so how many months are there in a year? Année is year. Il y a 12 mois dans une année. There are 12 months in a year. Quels sont les mois de l'année? Let's go for the months of the year. Les mois de l'année sont, the months of the year are janvier, février, mars, avril, mai, juin, juillet, août, septembre, octobre, novembre, décembre. We go for a few more questions. Okay, the first question goes like this. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Means what is it? So you have a book and then you ask somebody, what is it? This is how you explain. C'est un livre. It is a book. Où est le livre? O-U, and you have a grave accent on the letter U. The meaning is where. So where is the book? Il est sur la table. It is on the table. S-U-R is again another preposition which you'll be learning. You have qui est? Who is it? So you get the answer, say Paul. It is Paul. Où est Paul? Where is Paul? Il est chez lui. Okay, L-U-I is pronoun tonic, which you learn in the first lesson. So after a preposition, we make use of pronoun tonic. So il est chez lui means he is at his house. Having learned so much, I think we are in a position to move to the dialogue of the lesson. So you're going to listen to the dialogue of the lesson, which is prepared by Alice, who is teaching at Sacred Heart School, Ernakulam. So Alice is going to help you to read the dialogue. She'll give you the translation and the question and answers, after which we will do the rest of it in the next class.
Bonjour, leçon 2, Paris, Daniel and Catherine. Comment vous trouvez la Tour Eiffel? C'est superbe. Maintenant, je vais au musée. Tu viens avec moi? Oui, bien sûr. Moi aussi, j'aime beaucoup les musées. Mais j'ai soif. Je suis fatiguée. D'abord, on va au restaurant. Tu as raison, c'est une bonne idée. Mais quel restaurant? Le Café Dien? Oui, d'accord, c'est un bon restaurant. That was a good dialogue between Daniel and Catherine. Daniel visits the Eiffel Tower and he asks Catherine, how do you find the Eiffel Tower? Trouver, to find. Catherine replies, it's superb. Now I'm going to the museum. You coming with me? And Daniel replies, bien sûr, of course. Moi aussi, j'aime beaucoup les musées. I also like the museums very much. But j'ai soif. I'm thirsty. I'm tired. First, let's go to the restaurant. And Catherine replies, you're right, it's a good idea. But which restaurant? Daniel suggests Café Dien, and Catherine agrees to that. D'accord, c'est un bon restaurant, it's a good restaurant. Let's answer the questions. Qui va au musée? Who goes to the museum? Catherine va au musée. Pourquoi Daniel va au restaurant? Why does he go to the restaurant? He says he's thirsty, he's tired. Daniel va au restaurant parce que. Parce que means because. Parce qu'il a soif. Ils vont à quel restaurant? They go to which restaurant? Ils vont au Café Dien. Nommez deux monuments français. Name two French monuments. La Tour Eiffel et le musée du Louvre sont les deux monuments français.
Having done the dialogue, I'm sure you are in a position to read a little more better in French. Okay, so for the next class, we begin with the rest of the exercises.